grab that mic. You're gonna mic drop. I know you did last year.
Is that why your hair's standing up already?
He's trying to get
You're getting ready?
So you give me now.
Okay.
Go to like I usually do. Okay. Okay. I'll leave you alone.
Mr. Lopez. Tick-tock.
I'm a little smart lady now.
Yeah. This be a short meeting.
Well, it's going to be my bedtime if you don't get started.
I bet they're out of here like in 20 minutes. Look at the agenda. 43.
How do you figure?
There's nothing on there.
Well, that's what it always blows up.
Jim watching animal volleyball.
Oh my goodness. You'll watch.
83 years old.
You know what? He's been in a lot of Jim's hot days.
I know, I was like,
He's tough. He's a tough little
he
bird, I'll
said,
tell
Gina, can I
you.
go with you to the board meeting?
What?
He asked me if he could come with me to the board meeting and get some air conditioning. I said, it's not Jim's turn, you can leave.
All right. Sounds good. Please call the roll.
Lamini,
Here.
Thunderbird,
Here.
Handley,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Lopez,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Zimmers.
Here.
It's all present.
All right. Yep. President's comments. Public comments on published agenda items will occur during public comments portion of the meeting. If you're interested in addressing the board, fill out the required public participation at board meetings form and submit it to Ms. Mitchell in the front row. So, president comments. Point out a couple things. I want to thank Communications Department. I got to go off the kickoff for the teachers, so thank you, Nalo and Bree. They hand out these I Love 186 deals. Teachers can take pictures in their classroom, attach them to Twitter, Facebook, all that, have people know all this, so I think it's great, and they did a great job on the first day of school also. They got to follow Miss Johnson over to Washington Middle School. They did the Matheny Withrow. I think you guys got the news. SJR did a nice article on the kickoff and went around to numerous schools, so thank you guys for getting out and make sure everybody knows about our great schools. I think that's all for right now. I got some salutes, but I'll hold those off to board salutes. So, Mr. Flamini, board salutes.
What?
Board salutes.
I have none,
Okay,
but I salute you, though.
thank you.
Tough act to follow tonight. I wanted to salute Horace Mann and the Springfield Public Schools Foundation. Mr. Zimmers and I were able to attend the teacher appreciation event, not just for our teachers, but for teachers in the area, and it was just a wonderful evening. It was really a nice occasion. They made it very special. There was entertainment and food, and it was just really a nice welcome back to school, and nice to see a lot of teachers there. So it was very well done.
Ms. Johnson.
Well, I guess since the last time we were together, school started. Matheny Withrow had a great kickoff. I had been over there for another meeting, and they're doing great things with their grant. They had a magnificent turnout for community members coming together to welcome the kids back to school. It was a long line, but it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. And I also, that they stopped at Washington Middle School, which is doing great things. So I think we've started off very well this year. I had all the major problems 2 or 3 weeks before school started. I haven't had anybody call me since school started. So for me, that is magnificent because usually they get started. They're off right away, so I hope I'm not jinxing myself. But I think everything seems to be quiet and running pretty smoothly, so we should be having a great school year. And my wonderful, illustrious president, who is supposed to be taking lessons from me, hasn't quite got it about not spreading rumors, but he and Jason from the SJR, I don't know, must have had a conversation, and he's announced that I'm not running again, which is basically true. But,
Well, do on your
I
own
mean, I
terms,
can speak for myself in every issue that is involved anywhere. Okay, so from now on, before you start spreading rumors about me, check with me first.
Are you
to see
running?
if it's okay.
Are you running?
No, I'm not.
I'm
But
telling
you
what,
made me make up my mind, I guess.
There we
As
go.
we said, you'll always be in the
When you
right.
leave, I tell you, we can go to any school you want.
I can go to any school I want to right now, buddy.
Well, thank you. We will miss you.
You're not gonna miss me yet.
I bet you'll be that
I'm
front
not
row
gone.
yelling at me.
I will be tuned in.
Mr. Zimmers.
I'd also like to thank Horace Mann. It was a very nice evening, and the thing that I got from it, every teacher I talked to there, whatever school it was, everybody, without exception, said they'd gotten off to a great start. I mean, that was all the way from elementary all the way through the high school, so that's very encouraging. Looks like everybody is very positive and just very pleased with how things were going. And I'm going to add to something Ms. Johnson said. I am running again.
Well, I am also running. So, no, I would like to salute Springfield High in advance. They have their 100th anniversary coming up, and so that's going to be occurring on September the 9th, and I just wanted to recognize that, and then a lot of exciting activities going on around that anniversary. So, salute to Springfield High.
I just found out about the Springfield High thing today, so in the newspaper.
There we go. So, my board salutes. I want to salute Lanphier, Washington, Springfield High School. Mr. Flamini and I got to go our annual thing on the first day of school and then take a nap after we go to all these high schools. We had a great time visiting the schools, had lunch at Lanphier, and I agree with Ms. Johnson. Everybody's excited, ready for school, and haven't had any complaints or anything. So looking forward to a good school year.
The opening of Matheny Withrow was a sight to see.
Yes.
That did my heart good. Really neat.
It's good. So, all right, we're going to move on to 4.1, old business. Any old business?
I do have some old business.
Okay.
I was just, we've talked about this in the past, and with the recent news about the high cost of EpiPens, I was wondering if that was having any impact on the school district.
At this point, it is not, and because we have been part of a partnership with the company that actually produces the medicine for the EpiPen, it's called Milan, and they have a program called EpiPens for Schools, and it's a free outreach to the schools so that we can get the required EpiPens in our schools. We're required to have an EpiPen that's just for general use in case somebody should have a reaction and in a case a child doesn't have theirs with them or whatnot. We have to make sure that those are up to date. We rotate them in and out. Ours are not due for update until February, so probably in December we'll place our order. At this point in time, the program is still functioning. They're still stating that they are going to provide those free of charge with your order as long as you do it right when they're up for expiration. So we don't think that that will be a problem. If that ever changes and there aren't the grant programs, then with the new costs that you read about, if there's not any relief for that, that could be an unfunded mandate because by law we're required to have these EpiPens. But for right now, that program is still intact and we have every intention of being able to still get them for free this school year. If that were to change, I would definitely notify the board.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Okay. Any new business? Hearing none. We're going to student business, 4.3.
We had a fun first meeting.
Yes, we had our first roundtable meeting on Wednesday, August 31st, and it started off, we were supposed to pair up with a person or two from different schools. It just turned into groups of people. So we talked in our groups and we talked about what we liked and didn't like about the beginning of the school year. There were probably more positive things than there were negatives. And then we all came together and went around and introduced ourselves and kind of talked about what we talked in our groups. And a big part of the meeting, we were talking about AP classes because a lot of us were in those classes. And we were introduced to the Equal Opportunity Schools AP study, and which these people are coming to actually talk to some of us at Lampier on Thursday about the AP classes and their advancements. So I'm excited to talk to them on Thursday.
I'll do a little bit more in my superintendent's presentation about that.
And we also talked about the student government and how we want them to, well, us to be more involved in things and have more opportunities. And we talked about maybe for student government having the principals more involved, maybe come to a few meetings or at least a meeting. Also, we talked about some concerns. There were some things like access to the buildings and air conditioning, things like that.
You guys don't have air conditioning lamp here?
Just certain
Parts of the school.
Parts at school.
Oh, the Edison part.
We also talked about maybe inviting the principals to the roundtable meetings, or at least a meeting to get them a little bit more involved so we can do more with that. We're hoping to continue the Unity event, and we'll probably collaborate more on that at the next meeting and try and get more of that figured out and see how we can expand that event. And the next meeting is going to be on September 28th.
Cool. Thank you so much. There's no presentations tonight, which is a good thing. Funderburg has to get home before 7 for bedtime. Moving on to 6.1 financial report. Ms. Gill.
Mr. Basco.
President Lopez, members of the board, for August, the education fund revenues totaled $6.4 million and expenditures were $3.1 million, with revenues exceeding expenditures by $3.2 million. In the operations and maintenance fund, revenues were $541,000, expenditures were $1,387,000, with expenditures exceeding revenues by $846,000. As of August, outstanding state payments total $3.5 million. We are still waiting on our fourth categorical. It was vouchered on June the 23rd. We did get a payment in last week for our early childhood June payment, which was vouchered on June the 1st. So I think we're creeping closer to getting that fourth categorical, but
That's promising when you get one of them.
but don't have it yet.
I know.
So,
It's my hope.
every day.
Okay.
That's it. Turn it over to me.
Yep.
All right. Well, once again, I just want to thank our teachers in general. I mean, obviously, we've mentioned the Horace Mann event, which is something that we do every year alongside the Springfield Public School Foundation and Horace Mann. And this was our 8th annual teacher event, so it's something that they're very committed to. But I think personally, for me, I've been out in every school since the beginning of the school year, and I just want to thank our teachers for it. It seems like we're 2 months in, not 2 weeks in, and I think the fact that you haven't gotten a lot of phone calls hopefully is a testament to the fact that they're working hard, and we jumped right in. And I still get to be a mom and attended open house last week too, and got to have that feeling. And I'm also a mom and getting the homework done and arguing about that and doing all those good things. But I think it just means that we're working together to really have a great start to the school year. So just a big shout out. And then with that is all the support staff that help make our buildings the way they are. I've been noticing just, when you walk in, there's a sparkle and shine, there's people, there's new things on the walls, signs and directions that are very welcoming. And I think that's a testament to some great lessons that you taught us at opening day about culture and things of that, Mrs. Grove. So welcome to your new job. And I know you've been out, you're the culture police now, I know you said that, but it's really great to be out in the schools. Big shout out to all of the organizations that supplied school supplies. When I go in, not only do they all have their supplies, but we have some backups for those students who may come in or run out or have difficulties having supplies throughout the year. We had the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum and Library Drive. We had private citizen donations. We had WDBR and First Student and News Channel 20 and Horace Mann did the big Stuff the Bus drive. We had a gentleman and his organization, what was his organization's, Mr. Bott's organization, that collected all of the, 300 book bags from a private donor, and I've become very good friends with him, and he's just a great person in our community, and he has a organization that he works alongside to get the book bags. So big shout out to our Southeast football players who went out and met with the Graham students the other day. That was a great surprise for them, and Makai, one of our student roundtable members, he came up to me and said, "Hey, that was the best event that I've ever done. That was the best thing I've ever done, is go and show those kids. Those kids looked up to me like I was a hero, and they had a good time." Earlier, you mentioned the AP study. So tomorrow, actually, we have our director for the EOS that's going to come in and work alongside me and Mrs. Boozer and Mrs. Morrison to really look at what we're doing with our AP programming across the district, and that's those rigorous classes. Mrs. Morrison has put together a rigorous schedule for our consultant who's going to be in town to not only learn about our district and what course offerings we have, but she'll be able to help lead us on a journey to understand where we have some discrepancies, what barriers we may have, and she is going to speak to student groups from each of the 3 high schools when she does her student tours on Thursday. And they're going to be part of my roundtable group and some others, so that we can really understand from a student voice what they're looking for in academic rigor, and we can make sure that we have some course alignment in place. We know that this work starts in the middle schools when you're building up students' self-esteem around taking those harder classes that they may think, wow, I'll never be able to do well in that class, but giving them the encouragement and making sure we have equity across all of our schools and the course offerings that we have, and the opportunities that we have for them to enroll in those. But more importantly, the supports that students may need. One thing that we know too is if we're going to enroll more students in those classes, we have to be great predictors of textbooks that we may need. We have to understand which teachers we have to teach which of these courses, because it's also rigorous for the teachers in those courses. So I look forward to learning from them tomorrow and Thursday and bringing back a more elaborate board presentation to you in the future about the work that we're doing along these lines.
I have a question. Do you want us to save questions till the end?
No,
or?
you can do it right now if it's
Okay.
along that line. 'Cause
Yes.
I think I've wrapped up my general comments.
Okay. Mrs. Gill, we talked about the rigor associated with science courses across our district.
Sure.
And one concern that parents have brought to me is if we could take a look, and Mrs. Boozer, you would be involved in this too, taking a look at whether we could offer a 5 and a 6 weight for freshmen and sophomores, leading to the 7 weight classes that we have available for juniors and seniors.
Right. We're prepared to look into that deeply alongside this plan of action that I just discussed, and then Curriculum Council is really our venue. So one of the questions I wanted you to internally is find out who's going to sit on Curriculum Council for this school year. We can have up to 2 members of the board attend Curriculum Council meetings, so if you want to just talk amongst yourselves, or you can pull the board and we can, you don't have to give it to me tonight. When's our first Curriculum Council meeting? Do you have that on the calendar? I don't have my computer with me. September 27th.
At what time?
8 o'clock, 8 to 11, 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Not 8 p.m. You know they don't do late meetings. That won't work.
That's why I had to clarify.
Thank you.
So if we're going to be able to implement a change like that for next school year, what would our timing be on having?
We would have to work through those things first semester, which is our goal, because really we would have to have them ready for the course sign-up sheet, which is in January. Wouldn't you think that it'd be at the semester? Yeah. So
We started
Things
the
are doable.
conversation.
Things are doable.
Renee Johnson and I have already started the conversation about what we could offer, because we're in total agreement. We're doing our children a disservice, so we need to figure out more rigorous coursework at the freshman and sophomore level.
And if you look specifically, and I know you know this, Mrs. Boozer, but for math and English, we seem to be able to do that, to offer the 5 and 6 weight choices. Science is just a 4 and 5 freshman and sophomore, and then you jump to 7 junior and senior. The other thing that parents have pointed out to me is we have just really one class for freshmen, 2 classes available science-wise for sophomores, and then we have a whole list of things you can take as juniors and seniors, more than there are hours in the day.
Right.
So we need to look at
Some alignment.
doing a little bit of shifting so that we have some more choices. If we're going to fill up 7 periods, that's difficult.
And the same thing for our social sciences classes as well. We're having those conversations for both because we do lack some things in freshman and sophomore area.
Okay, so in order to implement changes for next school year, we really have to be on track to do this by January.
Right, and we may already have some of the courses already there. It's just a matter of realigning them.
Okay.
So we definitely have to have those conversations now to get ready for the semester, because that means we have to make sure we have enough teachers, the curriculum itself, textbooks, all those things. So
Okay.
it's some work, but we're ready to do it.
Okay, and then I just had a question about the AP, the deep dive that we okayed. Is part of that exercise then looking at our current AP offerings to make sure that they're aligned with the AP curriculum? And also, just let me finish, and also taking a look at how have our students who have taken the exams performed over the last 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, that's
How many kids are taking the test, and how are they doing when they do it? And I know the answers because you provided them to me, but I think that's relevant to this whole conversation about rigor.
Alongside Mrs. Morrison, I'm excited to say that's exactly what we're embarking on, not only looking at a deep dive with the data, but also really looking at the course offerings and are we aligning our courses to what College Board's expectation are for teaching those courses. We want to make sure we're just not calling something in name, AP this or that, but actually teaching as College Board expects that course to be taught and as it aligns to the standards. I'm not going to speak for Mrs. Morrison because she's done the true work around the study last year that gave us the data that allowed us to be in the position we are now to do that deep dive. We know that learning from other districts and learning from other schools and then making sure that we just get groups of people together to have good collaborative conversations about what we're doing in our classroom. The test taking is also something we want to look at. One thing, and this might be something that is sort of a community support program that we may ask of our community in the future, but we want students to be able to take those assessments. However, they do cost money every time you take one, and to require it would mean that we might have to pay for it, and for those who can't pay for it on their own. So we have to be able to have the funds available for that. Those of us who, can pay for it and take it, that's not really giving us a good indication of what all students can do if not all students are taking the test. So we want to make sure that we also level that playing field. It was one of our main questions we had for EOS. What are other districts doing to really make that assessment available to all students so that we can use that assessment tool to really tell us some information about what we know we need to do and how we need to get better. Is there anything else, Mrs. Morrison, that you would like me to share?
Covered it. We're pleased to be in line with what our board expects us to do. More importantly, just to allow those opportunities for students right now. Last week, the district administrators had to take a survey that EOS is compiling that data. Teachers are taking surveys this week. Students will be taking them, and then their goal is to get all of this compiled by mid-October. So just like you said, so that we can be ready to project what we want to do in terms of registration in the spring. So we're pleased, and they'll send people to actually work at each of the schools. They will model how to talk to students in terms of goal setting for the future. So we're really pleased that we're getting some people to help us do this hard work.
Good. Okay.
I definitely also had on my agenda to talk about the Springfield High 100-year anniversary celebration. So that will be held. The band, Springfield High Band and Seven Incentives are going to begin, and I believe that's at 4:30. And then right after that, I believe, Mr. Lopez is going to say a few words. I'm proud to say a few words as an alumni myself, but then they'll have the what do you call it, the induction of the 100-year, and they have the cornerstone and all of the events that are going to be happening there, and then they are having a reception right afterwards, and we'll be able to tour the buildings. We've had a student that took on as his Eagle Scout project to redo all of the trophy cases so people can go through and look at the different things, and they have a lot of memorabilia and things that they're going to have on display. So it's been on our website for some time. The information is right there. We've done a lot of push with our Twitter accounts and our Facebook accounts, but if there's anything, any way that you could stop by for a little bit, I think it'll be an enjoyable show. It's something to be proud of.
I heard that the ghost is going to show up.
Well, that's what they say. I don't know how they're going to do that, but
Is that you?
yeah.
No, not me.
Yes.
I think I saw it on the calendar maybe yesterday when I was looking at my computer. I don't know what happened in the general media, but I haven't heard a word. You know, my favorite thing is to watch the news
Well,
and scan the paper every day. I don't
know,
subscribe to the paper, but I do scan.
I think I have 2 or 3 media spots throughout the week this week that they've given me slots when I can come and speak about it. So looking forward to doing that.
Kind of late for
Committees
people
will
to
work
make
that.
plans.
Exclusions. It's that day where we had some students go home today. I'm not going to mince any words. I'm a little disappointed by some of the numbers with all of the community outreach, all of the media, talk about media push that we've done, getting out into schools and talking, the principals calling and the nurses calling and the secretaries calling, and it's important that we have our physicals and our immunizations. It's a law. Students have to be in school with them. We're just around 600, we think, right now. And that now, what happened today was a lot of people went home and will come back with their things tomorrow. We don't have all the accounting. The Sangamon County Health Department, once again, did everything they could, and they had open immunization clinics today. So we feel like a lot of the students went over there and got immunizations. We understand there was a large parking lot full of cars and many people going over there to use what we call our last-ditch effort, last-minute immunization clinic. We hope that these numbers drop drastically for those that were immunized. For those of you who had juniors this year, you have to get the immunization for the meningitis. It's called the meningococcal vaccination to go into 12th grade. A lot of these numbers in our high school represent those seniors who have just not gotten that one shot. It takes just no time at all. Either call your regular care physician, call the Sangamon County Health Department. They're still able and willing to help. We know that the medical clinic here in Cokie Mill held appointments today for physicals and immunizations, and we're quite busy as well. Our nurses had all that information. There's some bright spots. Figens has 500 students, and they only had 15 with trouble today. That is something to be said, that the work that they did to get those students vaccinated. We have many schools that had just 1 or 2 students that were out today, but we had others. It seems to be our biggest problem is middle and high school. Kids that go into 6th grade, kids that are going into 9th grade have to have physicals and immunizations, and then those 12th graders. All right, I set it up, but I know you want to say a few words.
I do. I can do nothing but shake my head. It's just like, this is not our first rodeo. We've been doing this for 3 years. Rick and Nalo and I have met how many times with, medical personnel to try to plan how they were going to roll out some of these clinics. And I got to give my hats off to the people, the medical field, because they're giving up clinic time to do these clinics. We've had 6 free ones since the beginning of August. Nalo and Bree and all you guys have done a good job of getting the word out, not only to the media, but, to businesses and having it on websites. And the media has done a great job of covering it for us. I've got to say that you've given us a lot of public service press on when these clinics are. I don't know what to say about it anymore. It's just like, we're going to continue to struggle with things like this unless every household who has a child that goes to public school and has a parent or guardian takes education seriously, and that it's a priority, and not just some families. It's a priority. It's every household. It's got to be a priority, because what we're doing, it's about the kids. It's about the kids not being in school. And we all know that, yes, quite a few will probably come back tomorrow, but we also know from history of having done this, we will have some kids are going to be out of school several days. It's not their fault. They can't take themselves to the doctor. They cannot take themselves to get a shot. And until parents start to be responsible for their own children, we can't do it all. I think some families expect everything to be done for them. That needs to stop. These are your children. We do our best to help you educate your children, take care of your children. If our teachers, all they had to do was teach every day, their job would be easy, but they have to be social workers, they have to be moms, they have to be dads, they have to be it all, because some kids aren't getting us anywhere, and so that needs to stop. I helped the other day for a couple hours at Sangamon County Clinic when they had that, and they had about 200 kids that went through there that day, which I'm really pleased that people showed up. And for the most part, everybody was very cordial. They had to wait an hour and a half, 2 hours, to get through the whole process, but I think they realized, okay, we put this off to the last minute, so we're just going to bite the bullet. But one incident that happened that will be forever etched in my mind, this dad walks in, looks at the line, just decides, I don't have time for this. And I'll never forget this little girl looking up at him like, you got to be kidding me. Because I could just see it in her face. It's like, I'm not going to be able to go to school on Tuesday. And the dad was not a priority for him. So I hate to keep pontificating about this, but it's about these kids. And to have 600 kids out of school today because their parents did not take responsibility for getting done what they need to get done, they should be ashamed of themselves. Point blank.
And I commend you for, that's as tough as I've ever seen you be, but you are dead serious about this and you work very hard.
Yeah, it just makes no sense
So
to me.
take your kids, if you live in my sub-district, take your kids. I would tell you a different way if I wasn't sitting in this meeting. Take your kids and get their physicals. These kids need to be educated so that they cannot be hanging out on corners and shooting one another. They need an education, and we're doing the best that we possibly can. Take those kids and get them in school. Take the time. Somebody took time with you.
Well, and thank you, Ms. Johnson. I would also say, if you got a neighbor that knows you need it, maybe this takes a village, or a relative that knows, their cousin or their sister, their kids need to have this done, then get it done. Yeah. And it's not all new families to Springfield either, because I was at Washington the first day of registration. There was this mom that had just moved here from Chicago, had 5 kids, and she looked at me and said, honey, I'm getting all this taken care of today. Even she knew to Springfield, that she had to get it done. So it's not really new families moving in here.
We don't have 600 new families.
Yeah, we don't have 600 new families. There are people that are here year after year after year that are just choosing not to do it. So.
And I just request that they not get mean and ugly to my school administrators and my nurses now that their child's out, because we've given them all of these opportunities, and we're really there to, and they're still there to support it. We're still using a very supportive stance and making sure you have a place to go. In the spring, we always have, for the juniors, we have a shot clinic at each of our high schools where they can get it during the school day. If the parent fills out the paperwork, signs it, they can come in alone. They don't have to have their parent with them, and we will give the shot at school, but they still didn't follow through on that. So
I think Mike's efforts and working on this in the last few years have been just really, really great. Again, being the graybeard, I've seen that at a time that, at this time of the year, there'd be over 1,000 kids out. And
well, I'll tell you a little story. Last week we had 2,400 still, and so we're down to 600. We were very worried. That original number was in. So we got a lot of things, and part of it is just, that's sitting on the bar at home, I need to bring it in. And then it's also, my nurses are just getting inundated with paperwork because we don't take care of it in a timely manner. Then they're trying to catch up with their paperwork. So I really applaud the school nurses, the school secretaries, the administrators who have worked endless hours to help organize the paperwork and get it in, because it comes in and blotted up little.
Well, and Rick and Nalo can bear this out. It's just like the medical community cannot do enough for us. I mean, we sit there and meet with them, and they're just like, what do you need for us to do?
So
it's just like, with open arms, they're willing to do it. So.
A couple other stats or things that I wanted to let you know about. Coming up on September 29th, and this flyer was in each of your packets tonight, and it will be obviously on our website, and it's going to be a part of a listening tour that the State Board of Education is putting on for the new Every Student Succeeds Act. And we are partnering with the Illinois State Board of Education, Springfield Urban League, and also our Regional Office of Education 51 to have a open kind of a town hall roundtable discussions to hear thoughts and concerns. They'll present some facts about the new law, pose questions. We have student, parents, and teachers and administrators from several of our schools that have been invited to participate and answer questions and sort of think out loud in a roundtable conversation, and then also let the audience have any feedback as well. And the idea is that as the Every Student Succeeds Act is implemented in the coming year in 2017, the state also has to have a working plan to meet the goals of the federal law. So the state is working on their plan. They put out their first version of it, and so they'll be presenting the facts about that version and give our opportunity. What we like about this is it's an event for just Springfield District 186 to come together and talk about how it's going to be implementing us. So you'll see many of us there, and we'd love to have you along as well. It's Thursday, September 29th. Southeast is graciously offered to host that between 6 and 7:30. Also, just people usually want to know about enrollment this time of year. Once again, our district remains strong in enrollment. Every year for the last 15, if you do kind of trend data, we are anywhere from 14,500 to a little over 15,000. We are strong at 14,799 at our 10th day enrollment. Today, new students did arrive. Those numbers are not reflected in these numbers. We don't know how many new ones came in and will be in the system tomorrow. We don't think it's a large number, but we feel that this is a strong number. It's a static number where we always seem to fall every year. I mean, Mr. Basco, you've been working in this job for a long time, and you're very close to the numbers, and this does ring true to you as well, right?
Very similar, up or down 200 at any time.
Makes your job a little bit easier, right?
Some days.
Yeah, some days. All right, are there any questions for me? Okay.
All right. Moving on to 8.1. Ms. Gill.
Sure. I recommend approval of consent action items 8.2 through 8.14 as described in the corresponding resolutions.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Approval of an agreement with the city of Springfield, is that for police officers?
Yeah, it's our annual, just the contractual agreement we have with them. We pay for salaries, they pay for benefits. It's just an annual thing. It's for our 3 SRO officers, one at each high school.
So in that same regard, did we have a discussion about how
work together.
these officers are going to handle things in our buildings and...
Right, there's actually 2 documents. Then at an upcoming meeting, we will have another MOU with the police department that will ask you to approve an additional, and that will be in a different consent agenda item, and that will reflect the new laws with Senate Bill 100 and all of the working relationships that we have. This is contractual, and that one will be more about the how, and we'll get that to you before we bring it to the board.
So that's going to be soon, right? Because
It is
they're
going to
already
be,
working.
yeah, they
right?
are. Well, they're working under last year's, and this is an update. It's in, we've provided ours, our legal has looked over it, and it's with the police department, and we expect to have their meeting between now and the next board meeting, and to come to you.
Okay, so, and are we still employing county officers at Jefferson?
Yes, we are, because they're in the county.
And have we done their contract?
Yes, it's in operation as well, but they are off-duty officers there. It's a little bit different than the SRO, but I will get that memo to you as well.
Okay, so, but we are going to get on the same
On the
playing
same page,
field
yes.
with both sets of officers?
Yes, it'll be the same language.
Okay.
I had a question on 8.8. This is an agreement with West Ed, and it is some training on parent-teacher teams and the meetings. I'm sure that this training is wonderful, but I just question how effective it's going to be. Do we have, are we getting the parents there to have,
So this, it's called Academic Parent-Teacher Teams. That's what it's called. This is a part of our new SIG grant work that we're doing. So it was introduced to the school as a promising practice that has worked quite well in similar schools where it has been implemented. We're excited about the team. I believe you attended one of the sessions for academic parent-teacher teams when you visited that day. It's the collaboration that's going to occur. The APTT model, or the academic parent-teacher team model, supplements and really elevates a traditional parent conference to a new level, where the data is being presented to parents. Parents are really engaged in the work of understanding where their student is. They're not going to wait until just have one parent-teacher conference, but really have an ongoing. I have put some information in your packets tonight. The first meeting is September 27th, so you're welcome to attend that as well. It really does form an ability to set goals alongside the family for where they want to see their student go. I can't really tell you if it's effective because we have not yet implemented it. We've learned, we've been on a path. We've already had the first phase of this training this summer. What we know is that Matheny-Withrow, through their data, could show you that their efforts were yielding about 50% of parents getting actively involved. And so they knew to the early implementation. They had a lot of training throughout last spring and into the summer, and they had an event called SIG and Dance, so School Improvement Grant and Dance, and they had 80% of the families come to that. So we're hoping that as we start to really engage with families, and I think you just saw the outcome of the opening day there, that we can not only have this be in place at Matheny, but across the district. At the last training, Jill, do you remember? I mean, we had at least 4 other schools, including Lanphier High School, in attendance to hear the very beginning stages about academic teacher teams and what it can really do.
Yeah, I think in my 30 years to look at parent-teacher conference in a totally different way. And I was so excited about the model. I was so excited about this model, and I think our other schools were too. Is this really?
I
don't think it's really on, but
You look good.
it looks good. It looks good. So, it's basically, it's working with that kindergarten, all those kindergarten parents, and saying, this is the foundational skills that they need for kindergarten, and here's where your kid is on these foundational skills. And they have to get those foundational skills, whether it's letter naming or letter recognition, and it's really identifying to the families right off the bat, here's the foundational skill, here's where your child is, here's where the other children are, and we're going to have 60 days of a goal that we're going to work on, and here's all the materials to do the goal. And here's the plan, and who's going to do it, and it's going to be 15 minutes, and it's very... it's a method that I haven't really seen as far as putting a structure together to really make the families be co-responsible for that. It's very parent-friendly, and I think it's going to provide that academic information that every parent really wants. They want to do better, but they always don't know. And so it's pretty, I think, transformational.
Are we looking at why the parents aren't coming and addressing those needs? So that we can have more parents attend, so they can receive this great information and work alongside the schools in educating their children.
Yeah, I think that Matheny-Withrow is really looking at transforming and is changing that whole culture of families being co-responsible and welcoming them to the schoolhouse doors in a lot of different ways. Through the SIG grant, we have a community kind of liaison person that's just her role full time. They have a parent educator. It's just really bombarding families with that kind of support, and then just being able to say that kids are in this schools this amount of time, and this is your role, and this is how you can be co-responsible, and we can't do it without you. And having those one-to-one conversations in the homes, and that's what it's taking. And families are embracing it because it's the whole Matheny-Withrow community. So,
Well, and I think too, part of this grant is letting schools explore something that we haven't yet done and see what the results may be,
Right.
so that we can.
and I think it's all
move
about
forward.
looking forward. I think it's all about looking in the future. I think a lot of times we look at what did we do and what can we redo.
Or how have we
But
always
is-
done this?
Yeah, how could we, this is all about really looking at the future of what our kids need, what our families need, what our teachers need. And what I like about this whole model with IRLA and this, it's using our teachers, our kids, our staff, our buildings, our everything, and moving us forward. That's the power.
Thank you.
But if we can't get the parents there,
Well, I
we
think,
need to get the parents there.
on the session that I attended, there were parents and there were staff members, school staff members there. I think that we must move beyond maybe the regular work hours to allow parents to be able to come in like in the evenings and to take the training that those parents had. They seemed to have a good interaction on the day that I was there. They were broken down into small groups. And then the leader consultant would give them feedback. But it was a good process, but the numbers might improve if it was offered in the evening where people don't have to worry about taking off work. You know, because when you get down in your time at work, then it's hard. But I think the interactions, they were giving feedback on what kind of activities that the schools could do, and they were giving feedback on how to interact with their children, to go through an exercise, and you know, like they were using reading as an example, and how to go through and to handle the reading situations with their children. And I think the consultant, she seemed to be very good. So I think, you know, if we can offer it maybe different times throughout the day, maybe even, you know, somebody that works in the afternoon might want to come.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
one
so-
interesting thing is, one of the schools that joined the training that day was Lee School. Very interested. They had some of the same concerns that you're mentioning. So we saw them change their way of doing parent-teacher conferences, and his picture's on the front page of the web this week, and they actually had their open house in the morning before school, at lunch, for families who could come at lunch, and then also in the evening, all in one day, but it was what works best for your family. And they had short presentations. During the day, I actually got to visit the classroom during the day when other students were in there, so that was interesting. The evening was more of your traditional approach, but it is looking at things differently and not saying we've always had one day of parent conferences, that's the way we're going to do things, but thinking outside and really saying, let's try something new. Let's use some research that's out there that's worked well in other districts. Let Matheny learn and grow, and we can learn from them as we try to transform our entire district. But you have to have a vision of where you want to go, and our vision is exactly what you're asking. Our vision is for every parent to attend in the way that they can as a family, and it doesn't have to be just the mom and dad, but extended family or people that support those students in their lives. We have to have the vision, and then that becomes the magnet that pulls us into a new future idea of what we are as District 186. So
But you have to be welcoming. You can
That's
have
right.
a vision and you can have parents. But if you're not welcoming, then that affects your future attendance.
Heard me
And
say
you
that,
have
perhaps,
said
in the
that
last-
all the time. You've got
well,
to
I listen to you, and I agree.
you got to be welcome in the building when you get there.
That's right.
You know,
I
and
did-
so,
I-
they're very welcoming over at Matheny Withrow. And we should do that in all 36 schools, not just in one building.
I believe that mission has been spoken. Has it
Okay, and
happened?
that should also happen in alternative programs also. They should be included.
That's right.
Anything else?
That's all we've gotten to.
All right, I think we're ready to vote.
Funderburg.
Aye.
Hanley.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Zimmers.
Aye.
Flamini.
Aye.
That is 7 aye votes.
9.1, Skill.
Okay, Mrs. Sherman.
President Lopez and members of the board, the superintendent recommends adoption of the personnel recommendations with 2 changes. Page 3, letter B, classified, item 9, please remove. Page 7, letter E, classified change of assignments. Item 1 should read from Secretary 2, Business Office, to Secretary 2, Southeast High School. The position was incorrectly listed as a Secretary 4.
A motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Hanley,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Zimmers.
Aye.
Flamini,
Aye.
Funderburg.
Aye.
That is 7 aye votes.
Next meeting will be Monday, September 19th, here at the board office at 5:30.
Mr. President, before we
Yes,
leave,
yes.
On behalf of my dear friend, Ms. Frankie Baker Brown, the annual minority back-to-school picnic is this coming Saturday, September the 10th, from 12 to 4 at Dreamland Park. And so we'll be looking forward to seeing and meeting a lot of new people.
Sounds great. Thank you. Have a good night.